The fluorescent lights of the gas station buzzed like a dying insect above Sarah's head as she hunched over the steering wheel of her rust-flecked minivan. Midnight in nowhere, Nebraska, the pump clicked past $40, money she didn't have. Behind her in the back seat, 7-year-old Mia slept curled beneath a threadbare unicorn blanket, and 4-year-old Eli wheezed with the croup that had kept them all awake for 3 nights. Sarah's fingers trembled as she counted the last crumpled bills in her purse, $23.17. Not enough for the medicine, the motel room, or the gas to get them to Aunt Clara's in Denver. The attendant inside was already eyeing her through the glass, arms crossed. She had exactly 4 minutes before he came out to demand payment or call the cops. That was when the rumble started, low, guttural, the sound of thunder rolling in on wheels. A line of motorcycles growled into the lot, chrome catching the sickly light like knives. The leader cut his engine first, boots hitting pavement with the finality of a gavel. He was tall, shoulders wide beneath scarred leather, beard streaked with road dust and silver. The patch on his cut read, Reaper, President, Iron WRAITHSMC. The others fanned out behind him, 6, 7, 8 bikes, engines ticking as they cooled. Sarah's heartbeat stuttered. She'd grown up hearing stories about men like these, 1%ers, outlaws, the kind of trouble you cross the street to avoid. Reaper filled his tank in silence, eyes flicking once to the minivan, once to the kids visible through the grimy window. Sarah swallowed the lump in her throat, tore a page from the back of Eli's coloring book, and scribbled with the stub of a crayon. Her handwriting shook, but the words were clear. Please, my son needs medicine. I'm short $47. I'm not asking for a handout, just a loan. I'll pay it back, I swear on my kids. Sarah. She folded the note small, heart hammering so loud she barely heard the bell when she pushed open the store door. The bikers were inside now, laughing over coffee that smelled like burnt rubber. She kept her head down, slipped past flannel and leather, and pressed the paper into Reaper's callous palm as she pretended to study the beef jerky. His fingers closed around it like a bear trap. Sarah fled back to the van, slammed the door, and waited for the world to end. If this story already has your pulse racing, smash that like button right now and subscribe with notifications on. You won't believe what happens next. Reaper unfolded the note under the flickering bulb above the coffee station. The laughter around him died. One by one, the iron wraiths leaned in, Tank with his shaved head and prison tattoos, Doc who'd patched more bullet holes than any ER nurse, Preacher whose real name nobody knew, and the prospect they called Kid because he was barely 20 and still had baby fat under the scruff. Reaper read the words aloud, voice gravel, scraping bone. The cashier, a kid with a lip ring, pretended not to listen. Single mom, Reaper muttered, kids in the van, sick one. Tank cracked his knuckles, we ain't a charity prez. No, Reaper said, eyes narrowing on the minivan where Sarah sat rigid, knuckles white on the wheel. But we were all somebody's kid once. He stepped outside. Sarah saw the wall of leather coming and fumbled for the door lock too late. Reaper tapped the window with one knuckle. She cracked it an inch. I ain't here to hurt you, he said. The voice was low, almost gentle, like a man calming a spooked horse. Name's Reaper, that your boy coughing in there? Sarah nodded, tears threatening. Eli, he's burning up. The urgent care in town won't see him without insurance and the pharmacy. $47. Reaper pulled a wad of cash from his vest, peeled off 320s and held them out. Consider it paid forward. Sarah stared at the money like it might bite her. I can't just take. You ain't taking, you're surviving. Difference. He glanced at the pump. You still need gas. She swallowed. I've got 23. That'll get me maybe 80 miles. Reaper looked over his shoulder. The iron wraiths were already moving, Doc grabbing a gallon jug of water from the cooler, Preacher fishing a half-eaten bag of cough drops from his saddlebag, Kid jogging to the air pump with a gauge. Tank simply opened the minivan's rear door, lifted Eli into his massive arms like the boy weighed nothing, and carried him inside where the light was better. Sarah stumbled after them. What are you? Doc rode with a medic unit in Fallujah, Reaper said. Let him look. Inside, under the harsh fluorescence, Doc knelt beside Eli on a stack of flattened cardboard boxes the cashier dragged over. The boy's cheeks were scarlet, breath rattling. Doc pressed 2 fingers to his neck, listened to his chest with an ear that had heard too many last breaths. Croup, Doc pronounced. Bad but not pneumonia yet, needs albuterol and a cool mist. Pharmacy 2 blocks down still open. Kid, he snapped his fingers at the prospect, run and get the generic inhaler. Tell Doc McKenna sent you, they owe me from that time I stitched up their pharmacist's dumbass kid. Kid was already gone, boots pounding pavement. Sarah's knees buckled. Reaper caught her elbow. Sit, he ordered, guiding her to a plastic chair by the lottery machine. Breathe. The cashier, suddenly helpful, brewed a fresh pot of coffee and slid a cup across. Sarah wrapped shaking hands around it. Mia woke up, padded over in her unicorn pajamas, and crawled into her mother's lap without a word. The bikers formed a loose circle, a leather wall between the little family and the world. That's when Reaper pulled out his phone. Church, he said into it. Now whole clubbed gas station off I-80 mile marker 312. Bring the trailer and the med kit. He hung up, looked at Sarah. We got a trailer big enough for the van. You're riding with us to Denver. Sarah blinked. I can't ask. You didn't. 20 minutes later, the lot filled with more thunder. 15 bikes, a flatbed with a winch, and a box truck that said Wraith hauling in peeling letters. A woman with a buzz cut and a prosthetic leg, everyone called her Sarge, hopped out of the truck carrying a cooler. Inside, pediatric Tylenol, juice boxes, and a portable nebulizer still in the box. Stole it from a children's hospital fundraiser, Sarge said with a grin that showed a gold canine. They'll bill insurance. Kid needed it more. Sarah laughed, actually laughed through tears. Mia tugged on Reaper's vest. Are you a superhero? Reaper crouched so they were eye level. Nah, kid, just a guy who remembers being hungry. They loaded the minivan onto the flatbed like it was a matchbox car. Eli, medicated and breathing easier, fell asleep against Tank's chest, the big man humming an off-key twinkle twinkle that made Preacher choke up behind his beard. Sarah rode in the box truck with Sarge, who talked the entire 4 hours to Denver about losing her leg in Kandahar, about the club pulling her out of a bottle, about how sometimes the family you choose wears patches instead of blood. But stories like this only hit home when you share them. Drop a like if your heart's already cracking open and subscribe, because the best part's still coming. Dawn bled pink over the Rockies when they rolled into Aunt Clara's cul-de-sac. The old woman stood on the porch in her robe, eyes wide at the convoy. Sarah tumbled out, hugged her so hard they both cried. The bikers unloaded the van, carried in the few boxes Sarah owned, set up the nebulizer on the kitchen table like it was Christmas morning. Clara tried to press a pie into Reaper's hands. He waved it off. Ma'am, we're good. Sarah caught his sleeve before he mounted up. Why, she whispered, you don't know me. Reaper looked at the house, at Mia waving from the window, at Eli's chest rising and falling easy for the first time in days. Because 20 years ago, a waitress in Barstow slipped my old man a sandwich when he was broke and on the run, said pay it forward when you can. He never forgot. Neither will I. He swung onto his bike, engines roared to life. Sarah stood in the driveway until the last tail light disappeared. 3 months later, a package arrived at the clubhouse in Rapid City. Inside, a cashier's check for $500 and a photo of Eli blowing out 5 candles on a lopsided cake. On the back, in Sarah's neat handwriting. Paid forward plus interest, thank you for giving us tomorrow, SM and Reaper pinned the photo above the bar. Underneath, someone had sharpied, Wraith's 1% heart. And every year after, on the anniversary of that night, the Iron Wraiths held a toy run. Not for show, not for tax write-offs, but because some debts you never stop paying. If that didn't leave you reaching for the tissues, check your pulse. Hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, because stories like this remind us the road is long, but no one has to ride it alone.